Hi everyone, and welcome to BridgeU Bootcamp. Up your game for college and university applications in 6 weeks. Today we'll be focusing on Lesson 3 and how to take the Keys to Succeed assessments, review your results, and make yourself a personal action plan. It's important to understand yourself, your interests, your skills, and what motivates you, so this lesson builds on the previous two in the series. And although it focuses on the Keys to Succeed assessments, it could also be useful if you're taking other psychometric profiling tools online. Before we begin, there's a few things you'll need to do to make sure you're prepared. First of all, create your Keys to Succeed account, or make sure you have your access key handy and head to www.center.humanesources.com and create your account using that access key. Third, there are 3 assessment checklists below on this page, which you'll need to download. They'll be in PDF format, but you can still write directly on the checklists. Fourth, make sure you're sat comfortably and focused away from any distractions so you can get the maximum benefit from these assessments. Fifth, we recommend that you do split this whole video into 3 separate sessions. Each assessment can take up to 30 minutes to complete and to review, maybe even longer. So doing them all at once wouldn't be recommended. And finally, now watch this clip of Susie Wood, Senior Trainer and Consultant for Human Resources. She'll be giving her top tips for completing the assessments.
Hi there, my name is Susie Wood and I'm a career consultant and counselor. And I've been working with individuals for, years and years, probably over 25 years, helping them figure out where their true potential lies. And if you'll notice on my hat, it talks about finding your own spot in life. And that's part of what we're going to do. I love this hat because we do a lot of dog rescue, but I also love it because finding your own spot in the world is important. Because if you find your own spot, you can reach your full potential. So these assessments, they're not tests. You can't fail them. You can't do them wrong. They're just a survey of you so that you can start understanding and really embracing who you are and become empowered so that then you can use that information to plan and explore and advocate for yourself. So what we're going to do when you take the assessments is strongly make some recommendations that'll get you your best result. The first one is do these at a time when you're energized and you're vital and your focus is only on them. They only take about 15 to 20 minutes each. Personality may take 25 minutes, but they're pretty short and sweet. The other thing you'll notice is there's not a lot of text. The text is minimal, especially in learning styles. There's a lot of visual graphics. So you're not going to be sitting there needing to ponder things and read through a lot of material. So it's very important that you focus just on those. So when you're energized and you can focus on that and not be distracted with your phone or computer or music or anything else, just for the few minutes you do those, that will ensure you should get your best result. Now, again, the accuracy of the results depends on what you say. So the cool thing is the counselor or the person that works with you on this, or even your parents that read it, they can read it and get a survey of where they think you fall, but you are the ultimate person that decides how accurate these results are. So our goal is to get you the most accurate results we can get so that you can take away the information that's really spot on and move it forward in helping you plan your career. Now, don't get concerned if there's any issues and you think, gosh, I got distracted or something happened, or you read the results and you're concerned they're not quite as perfect as you were kind of thinking they would be. That's okay. We can always give you some things to do or have you retake it at a period of time when we feel like maybe you're more focused or more ready. And again, we'll address it the same way. So there's no right or wrong. There's no rush. You don't need to do all of them at once. You can do one at a time. And ultimately, you are the person that decides how helpful and how accurate they are. Your counselor, your parents, your tutors, your friends, everybody else is just there to support you in this journey. So I hope that helps you set the stage for where we're going to go, and I appreciate your attention. Thank you very much.
Now it's time to take the first assessment. Head to kts.humanesources.com if you haven't already, create your account, and then pause the video while you take the Learning Styles assessment. Once complete, resume the video. Once you've taken the Learning Styles assessment, you can click on View Full Report to see your results. Each scale represents a learning style category. You're going to sit somewhere along these scales. If you click on the plus sign, it will then expand that section to give you more information. This will include recommendations for things that you can do to become a better learner, tailored to your learning style. Tick at least one checkbox in each section that you'll try to do in future, or that you already do a lot. Once you've gone through each of the sections, you can rate your overall result in terms of how well it matches you. 4 stars means very accurate, and 1 star means not so accurate. If you feel like you're only on 1 star and it doesn't reflect you very well, feel free to pause this video and take the assessment again. So there's quite a lot of information to take in your results. So to help you make sense of it all, if you scroll down on the page, you'll find a Learning Styles checklist. It should look like this. Download it in PDF version and it's ready for you to complete. To help you complete it, watch this next clip by Susie, who will give you her top tips on filling out the criteria checklist.
Let me tell you a little bit about this assessment. This assessment and the principles it's based on, the studies it's based on, have been around about 50 years. And what has been found in research is that there are certain characteristics, and when you know where you fall in these certain areas, it will give you an edge in just making those areas more fine-tuned so that you can have that effect of the fine-tuning of them on your academic success. And the cool thing is, it's not only on academic success, it's on your productivity. So the great part of this is, as you understand these different criteria, you will think about them. And probably the most important issue is to understand them, really, is to kind of understand where you fall in them. And I will tell you this, often the first time people take these, they don't really know because they've never really thought about them consciously. It's a very unconscious thing. So when you read the report and you see things like how much sound, how much light, how much intake, which is eating or chewing on things, how tactile you are, those kind of things, you often don't even think about them. It's subconscious. So what this assessment does is it brings them into your conscious brain and it says, oh, yeah, you know, I do like it when I learn better when I'm warm, or I learn better in the morning, or I learn better in the afternoon. So what we've tried to do is create a sample assessment and then take some information off of that onto this criteria checklist, which is nothing more than a piece of paper summarizing your results. That's all it is. And it's yours. It's your paper. So you can make the notes however you want. They can be short and sweet. They can be long. Maybe you don't need notes. But again, that depends on your type. My learning style, I am very tactile. And in the sample we had, we talked about, do this person, do they need tactile learning? For me, if I weren't sure, I might do a test, and that test is going to be called an action plan, where I would take a period of time and I would not do what I normally do. And for me, normally I take notes. All right. Now, I may not know that taking notes is the same thing as tactile until I read this and I do my test and think about it. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to figure out what are the things you really want or you don't need. How can we test them out if we need to, if you're not sure? And then what is the result? Okay, so we might test them out for a few days, a week, a month, whatever. And then what is the result? Oh, I do need that. Oh, yeah. Or no, I don't think I really need that much. And then how is that going to revise or influence or impact my plan? So I am very tactile, and one of the things my report says is that I'm a tactile learner, which means when I am taking notes, something about the process of writing it out and underlining and starring and all the things I do helps my brain process. So that's one example of one area that I know now that I need. All right. So another area that we had in the sample was a quiet environment. Now, this is another thing that I personally share with this assessment that we did as a sample as well. When there's a lot of noise and distraction, it's very, very hard for me to concentrate. Very hard. Now, I already know that, but if I didn't know that, I could easily do a test at home or at school or somewhere where we're out when it's appropriate. And if there were a lot of noise and voices and sounds going on, I would want to note that. And how did that impact my ability to concentrate and really think about what I was doing, the task at hand? And it may be, again, it may be that I would do this over a week. It may be I do it a couple times, and I may figure it out already, just in that short exposure. And then what would the result of that be? For me, when I'm doing work just like we're doing right now, I have to have total quiet, because any kind of noise or conversation or my dog's barking or anything going on is very distracting. So the samples we've got here for you are based on that sample test that we have also available to you. And we're looking at just different areas. The one about a casual environment. A casual environment is very different than a structured or traditional environment. So if you're a learner that likes laying on the floor, that likes reclining and studying, that likes having the lights off and just maybe having a lot of things going, music and things going on, and laying on the floor and doing your own work that way, that's a casual environment. Do you like a casual environment? Those of us that are more traditional in their environment are going to want something more structured, a desk and a chair. In this particular example, what I tried to do was say, okay, what am I, more casual, am I more traditional? In this sample, the person was more traditional, or I think they were kind of maybe even in the middle. So we want to try to figure out which one is good for influencing and impacting your learning. Now, this is one that's really important to often share with parents, because a lot of parents, and I'm one of the categories, the people that fall in the category of, this is the way we were raised, with a real formal, you sat at a desk, you sat at a table, you had your light, you had your books, your pencils, your computer, whatever it was, but it was very traditional. Well, a lot of young people don't learn that way. And the parents often find it very hard to understand that. So when you have this report and you do your little test and you show your parents the difference in your performance academically when you can set your room up or your space up the way you want, wow, often they're like, oh, okay, I get it. So that's what these sorts of assessments, this one in particular, is going to help you with. So I hope that gives you a sense. Again, the sheet is for your use. It's just to highlight the areas that either you know you're sure of, or you want to test out and kind of see. And then you can talk with your counselor or your peers about ideas and ways that you might test them out or kind of confirm them. I hope that's helpful. This assessment will be useful to you for the rest of your life. So hang on to what you learn, because you'll want to use it in every setting you go to. And eventually, when you're going to jobs and internships and study abroad programs, it's still going to apply. It's universal across the board. I hope that's helpful, and thank you for your attention.
If you're on TikTok, why not follow us and share what setup helps you to learn best using the hashtag BridgeU or BridgeU Learning. Here's an example. We'll now be looking at the second assessment, multiple intelligences. If you've just taken the first one, then make sure you pause the video to have a break before moving on to this lesson. The next type of assessment we'll be looking at in this lesson is multiple intelligences. Dr. Howard Gardner came up with the theory of multiple intelligences in 1983. He proposed that the traditional idea of intelligence being based on IQ testing is actually quite limited, and intelligence can take many forms. 8 types of intelligence have been put forward. For this activity, I'd like you to write down each one and then rate yourself from 1 to 10 on each. First up, verbal or linguistic intelligence, which can be called being word smart. If you've got a good vocabulary and use it well in conversations and in writing, you'll probably score yourself quite highly here. If sometimes you struggle to find the right words or have to look up definition for things quite often, then perhaps mark yourself a little lower. I've always had quite a good vocabulary and done well in written tests, therefore I'm going to give myself an 8 out of 10 here. Second on the list is logical mathematical intelligence, also known as number smart or reasoning smart. If you're great at maths and find difficult calculations pretty easy, you'll put a higher score here. If, like me, maths isn't your strength, put a lower score. I'd give myself a 2 out of 10 given how much I rely on a calculator. Third up is visual spatial intelligence, or being picture smart. If you're able to rotate these puzzle pictures quickly in your mind, then you'll probably score highly here. See if you can tell which rotated shape matches the one on the left. The answer is C. I'm pretty good at these sorts of puzzles and consider myself a visual learner. If there's a picture of something, it really helps me understand it quickly. So I'm going to give myself a 7. Fourth on the list is bodily kinesthetic intelligence, or body smart. If you're one of those people who is just great at sports and physical skills, then you'll probably score higher here. I'm not bad, but I'm certainly no athlete or anyone who excels at sport, so I'll probably give myself a 6 here. Fifth is musical intelligence, or musical smart. I love music and have pretty good rhythm, but I don't play any instruments, and when I try, it never really goes well. So I'm going to give myself a 3 here. If you're one of those people who plays a bunch of instruments, or even just one really well, then you're probably going to go score highly here. Next up, interpersonal intelligence, also known as people smart. If you're pretty good in groups and you can read a room well and connect with other people really easily, you'll probably give yourself a higher score here. I think I've got pretty good people skills and pretty good at forming positive relationships. So I'm going to go ahead and give myself a nice high score of 9 here. The 7th intelligence on the list is intrapersonal intelligence, or self-smart. If you feel you know yourself well, and you're able to control your thoughts and superb at being self-reflective, then increase your score. I'm probably going to go for a 7 for this one. The 8th and final intelligence is naturalistic intelligence, or nature smart. If you're great with animals, are awesome at gardening or growing plants, and have a deep understanding of global environmental issues, then you'll give yourself a higher score on this. I love nature and animals, and love trying to be environmentally friendly in my choice of products and by recycling and reusing things where possible. But I do always seem to kill my houseplants and don't have any pets, so I'm probably going to give myself a 6 here. Now it's time to pause the video and take the test for yourself to see if your self-reflections are the same as the results. Now it's time to look at your results and reflect on them. In the intelligence and use section, you will see different categories of intelligence. And if you click on the plus sign on the left, it will expand each section and give you some of your strengths, some of your challenges, as well as looking at some famous people with that type of spatial intelligence, or whatever the type of intelligence is, and then your top careers. What I'd like you to do is tick the boxes to show that you agree with or you've read the strengths and challenges. Then you can rate your overall results. How accurately do you think that they reflect you? The higher the star rating, the more accurate. Once again, if you feel like it doesn't reflect you, then you can pause the video and retake the test. Once again, there's a lot of information to take in on your results. So to help you to break it down into something more useful, we've given you the criteria checklist for intelligences. Scroll down on the screen to download it, and then listen to Susie's advice before completing the criteria checklist yourself.
In this particular sample, the individual scored very high in linguistic, then it was naturalist, then it was spatial, then it was musical. Now this does happen a lot where you'll have areas in your top 3 or 4 that are very strong, but you decide if they are really areas you want to pursue in your career. So if you look at the assessment criteria checklist and what we did, I took the 4 top ones and then I discerned through, generally you'll do that through discussion or research or thoughtfulness of the career field or what you know about the field, and you'll decide, is it something on the right hand side of the page, there's a box where you can pick, is it vocational or is it enrichment or interest? So in this particular example, we're going to assume that the individual, the student, said linguistics. I do like linguistics. Linguistics is the study of language. It's often people that are good in linguistic are good writers. They're good at learning foreign language. They're good at interpreting language. So, and they get the nuances of language. So they are often very gifted in that way. And that is a great career field because you can do so many different things with it. So in this particular example, we're going to say that linguistic was a good choice as a possible career idea, just to explore. The next one, naturalist. I picked that example in this assessment. That example came out high. And the reason I put it on the enrichment side is because I see a lot of clients that are very high in areas and they love those areas, but they're more passions, they're more causes, they're more things they want to do with their life, but not for a job or not for a compensation per se. So I do see a lot of people score high in naturalist, and they're interested in climate change, they're interested in the global climate, they're interested in conservation, they're interested in sustainability of our world, they're interested in animals and saving animal lives and animal habitats. So a lot of people feel strongly about that area, but it's not something they want to pursue for a career. So I move that over to the right side. And you'll decide which of these areas fit best for you and your results. But in this one, as we go on down, spatial was next. And I picked that as something the student might like as an actual career area. Now, spatial means the way things are laid out, the way things are designed, the way things operate. So a lot of times people that are high in spatial are very good and gifted at laying things out or seeing a design that functions very well in a system. So I put that under academic because that may be an area of interest. It could fall under architecture, it could fall under design, it could fall under systems, it could fall under lots of things. It just depends. And we won't know which of those possibly until we do more exploration, right? So it's an idea to explore much more deeply in research. And then the last one was musical. Now musical comes out a lot on assessments. It came out high on mine, my own personal assessment. I love music. Music is everything to me. But I am not going to choose music as a career because I don't compose, I don't perform, I don't have any of those talents that allow me to choose that as a career. But as an enrichment area, oh yes, it's really important. So already I've narrowed my list down to 2 areas that I really do want to consider. Those areas are going to be linguistic, they're going to be spatial. Now, this assessment was designed to look at your top 3 areas. So we might go down one more area, or we might not. That's kind of your call, and I didn't want to fill it in because sometimes it can just get overwhelming. I don't want it to be overwhelming, okay? That's not why it's designed. It's not designed to be overwhelming. It's designed to be simple. So go through the first 4, see what you've got. If you do have some that are heavy in enrichment, that's okay. Go down to the next one. Also, in this assessment, a lot of times people will score in the midpoint and you won't have anything high. This is important to remember, you guys. That's okay. That just tells you and your counselor you need more information. You really don't know enough yet to know. And that's why this assessment is designed the way it is. It's designed to help you explore. So what we would do is, in the next areas, we look at the strengths that you bring to the areas we do know and that you understand. And we look at some examples. And those examples can be anything. They can be from school, home, community, work you do outside of school, any area of your life. Examples where you've had certain areas validated. So you think, oh, that could be a compliment, an award, a selected for a job, recruited for something. Those are ways of confirming these are areas that you excel in or that you might want to learn more about and could excel in, all right? So strengths and examples are simply there to start helping you understand and validate these particular areas for yourself. And that's important. You need to be able to validate, because once you validate and you become empowered in those areas, then you can advocate and seek them out in your research and in your exploration. The other areas of the assessment I want to talk about are challenges, strategies areas. These are areas where you think, gosh, do I need to do more research? How do I figure this out? And I put spatial in there because I have had clients say, I want to do something, I'd love to do something with this idea of how design and laying things out makes the experience more productive, more successful, more easily understood, whatever it is. And so one of the things that we might do as a strategy is to start investigating, okay, what would those careers look like? What are they? And are there ways I could investigate a major or tie to those a major that I could combine with my linguistics interest? And this is where you're going to get ideas of not only finding the major or the college, but how flexible is the college with letting you combine things and create things, create majors. Some colleges, they love that. They love that. That's their culture. Some colleges, no. They want it real. They want you to be really right in your grid, and that's it. So you need to know that. You need to think about that when you're making plans for the future. You don't need to decide all that now, but you need to start investigating that. So what we do here is just try to correlate and gather some scoop that's going to be good for you. And what I did on the action plan was I tried to suggest things based on the assessment that I might do if this were me. So I might want to learn more about more languages. I might want to learn some other languages on my own. It doesn't always have to be in school. You know, nowadays, there are so many ways that you can learn things on your own, and I might want to do that over the summer just to test it out. Did I like it? Was it fun? Was it easy? Was it hard? That's the kind of stuff we want to gather and let you learn and know about yourself. What about linguistic careers? What kind of careers involve linguistics? There's so many areas. There are governmental careers. There are international careers. There are nonprofit careers. There's so many ways you can use linguistics in a career field. And gosh, you need to figure out which of those areas would be a good fit for you. And again, we're not trying to find out the final answer. We're just trying to explore and figure it out. So what I did was I tried to gather some information here that I would naturally see on a client's result. And then in the outcome insights, I tried to summarize after a period of time of investigating, maybe over the summer or over next year, then I would start noting things in my outcome that I think, okay, these are some ideas I want to keep, I want to hold on to, so I don't lose them. So that moving forward, I can just use this as my launching pad and keep going forward on these and gathering more data. So I want you to understand, none of these assessments are meant to confuse or to discourage you in any way. They're just a recipe of letting you pull things you want to use that you might want to check out, and the other things you don't, you disregard. You are the author of this plan. You are the author of your life. These are only meant to give you ideas and support. So that's a little bit about intelligences. I know that's kind of long. It's probably the most difficult one to explain easily because you have to pick. Is it vocational or is it enrichment? So I hope that helps a little bit. And I think working with your counselor and talking with your parents and your friends will also give you additional insights that will really help clarify this and help you get this in a way that it's enriching and helpful. So that's that. Thank you very much for your attention.
That's it for multiple intelligences. But remember, if you're on TikTok, follow us at BridgeU. And why don't you share what type of intelligence you scored highest in with the hashtag BridgeU or BridgeU Intelligence. Here's another example for you. Now for the third part of this lesson, personality types. If you've just taken the previous assessment, make sure you do pause the video and give yourself a break before moving on to this one. In 1971, a Swiss psychologist called Carl Jung, regarded as the founder of analytical psychology, came up with a theory that personality can be broken down by where people sit along several scales. One of those scales is extroversion versus introversion. Extroverts tend to be quite outgoing and love socializing in big groups because being around people gives them lots of energy. Introverts are usually more reserved and like the peace of their own company because they tend to find large groups of people quite draining. Which do you think you are? Write down somewhere on a piece of paper E for more extrovert or I for more introvert. I think I'd be slightly more extroverted, so I'm going to write an E. The next scale is sensing versus intuition. If you're the type of person who reads a piece of news and is quite influenced by it and uses these external pieces of information to form what you feel is true or not, write an S to indicate you think you're more sensing. If you're the type of person who trusts their gut and no matter what you read about, you have a strong sense of what you believe is true, then write N for intuition. I can sometimes be swayed by the things that I read, but I always seem to have an internal bias of what I believe is true. So I'm going to write N for intuition. Next up is thinking versus feeling. Thinkers analyze different potential outcomes in every situation and take a very logical approach when coming to a decision. Feelers like to go with their heart more and will make decisions based on how they feel without having to look at every possible avenue and outcome. I'd say I'm quite analytical in my decision making. Sometimes making a simple purchase on Amazon could turn into hours of researching. So I'm going to put T. In 1980, Isabel Briggs Myers proposed a fourth and final scale, judging versus perceiving. Those that are more judging are very detail orientated. They love to make lists and plans and tend to always stick quite rigidly to those plans. Those that are more perceiving are much less likely to plan things out. They're comfortable winging it and they don't mind going off plan. Which are you? I think I'm quite a planner, but like being flexible and pretty comfortable to go with the flow. So I think I'm probably slightly more on the perceiving side, so I'm going to write a P. Right, so you should have 4 letters in front of you. Your combination of letters will give you one of 16 different personality types. This is also known as the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, created by Isabel Briggs Myers and her mother, Catherine Cook Briggs, in the photo on the right here. My personality type, ENTP, is also known as the debater, and the 3 words that summarize that are smart, curious, and intellectual. I'll take that. Interestingly though, I'd see myself more like the adventurer. It is so difficult to do this activity accurately because we all have our own biases and we see ourselves and the way that the world sees us in a particular way. Therefore, we have a personality type assessment to help you get an accurate result. It's time to take the personality type assessment now. Pause this video while you take the assessment. Once you've taken the personality type assessment, click on View Full Report. Here you can look at your personality. How do the 4 letters and where you sit on each scale reflect the activity we did at the beginning of this section of the lesson, where you rated your own personality type? Is it the same or completely different? Click on the plus sign on the left of the bar that indicates introversion versus extroversion to expand that section and see more information. Repeat this for each section. There are recommendations for things that you can do to become a better learner, worker, and communicator. Click on each of these and tick the checkbox in each section of the ones that you'll try and do in future or that you already do a lot. As before, there is a lot of information to take in. So to help you break it down, there's a criteria checklist available for personality. Download this now on the bottom of the page and listen to Susie's tips before trying to complete it.
Hi there, I'm going to talk to you about my favorite assessment on personality. And I will tell you, as you can see, I'm a little bit older than you guys. I've been involved in this particular assessment for, 30 years, 20, 30 years. So I've had a lot of experience with it. This is an extremely empowering tool. And I want you to know several things about it. First of all, you decide. You're the author of deciding how reflective, how on target, how impactful it is. When you have a good result, and most people do, it's amazing. You will learn things about yourself that are just phenomenal. And you can own them because they're yours. It's about you. With any of our assessments, you decide how accurate it is. If there are areas that aren't as accurate, you simply disregard them, because no assessment is going to be 100% perfect. You're going to go through here with a fine-tooth comb, using this little sheet as an organizing way of collecting your thoughts. And you're going to look at, okay, what does this tell me about me? And gosh, did I know this about me? How do I know this about me? How can I confirm this? So what we're doing in this particular example, and this is actually based on my results. My letters are E, N, F, J, which basically means I'm very extroverted. Extroverted means you need people, you need to talk, you need interaction. And if you don't have it, you go nuts because you'll start talking to the dogs because you want interaction. The N is about creativity and about new ideas and trying new things. The F part of me is about my feelings. I'm very emotional. I'm very humanistic. I'm very global. And the J is about the degree of organization or structure I like. And I tend to like a little more structure than less. But there are areas that I'm stronger in and areas I'm not strong in, as according to those results. So I want to tell you a little bit about what I've written down to kind of help you understand why I wrote it down. Again, remember, the results are not 100%. And if you take this assessment and you feel like you were distracted, or you had a bad day, or you were really tired, or you were under a lot of emotional stress, and the results weren't exactly you, no problem. Go back to your counselor and tell them that you don't know that you really got the result you needed and you'd like to retake it. And they may ask you to do a few things first, like have some experiences to kind of just, again, ramp up the idea of awareness. But if not, you'll be able to take it again and look at those results and do some comparison. And that doesn't happen often, so I don't want you to think, I don't want you to be burdened with that idea in your mind, but on occasion it will. If you have a good result, the results really should stay pretty similar throughout the rest of your life, believe it or not. Usually type theory is pretty set, and unless something major happens in your world or your life, generally it doesn't change a lot. So given what I've just told you about some of the things about me, in this section, Understanding You, I've written down some of the highest areas that I am strong in, because those are the areas that I really use and want in my life, in my career, in all my experiences. It's universal. I want these. I want to connect with other people, so I have a need to connect with others. I have the ability to motivate or excite people. That's just a talent that I have. When I get excited about things, other people can get excited too from my comments and the way that I approach a subject. I do like creativity, and I get very discouraged and bored when I can't integrate creativity into what I'm doing in some degree. I love to help others realize their full potential. That's very much one of the things that ENFP likes to do. They enjoy that kind of work. They enjoy helping others. I do like harmony. Feeling people typically like a harmonious, collaborative environment. I like to take a leadership role. When I know the subject matter and I know what I'm doing, because of my confidence and my enthusiasm, if I know it, I'm happy to take a leadership role. And I enjoy taking a leadership role. So yes, I do need to be invested in a cause. I'm very cause-oriented. I'm very passion-oriented. Those things drive me forward. The job I have now that we're doing, this is a job I love. I love doing this for you. So it's very much part of who I am. I love to teach and train and mentor and coach. Those are the areas that I really excel in. And then mentoring, I just mentioned. So what I tried to do in the examples part, and this is where it sometimes can get a little bit challenging, because we do our things in life and we don't often think about them as talents or areas of expertise. We just think we're doing life, right? So your examples are any time that you've been complimented, recruited, selected, rewarded, you got a good grade on something because you used one of these areas to help you do that, or the area was predominant. So I listed some examples of me that I've been told or have been in my life that would affirm for me that these things are really things I'm good at. Because the one thing I've heard over and over for years is people will say, well, everybody's good at that. Everybody likes working with people. That's a misnomer. Everybody doesn't like working with people. And everybody is not good at working with people. And I know this because I've worked with a lot of people. So it's good for you to know and own these things and understand that these are the things that are unique about you. These are your launching pad for where you're going to go in your career. Now, the questions for evidence section is a section where if I were moving forward and I were looking at a college or a program or a school or a major, I would want to ask some of these questions to discern how much of these areas I want and need are going to be integrated. Because you can reach your full potential in a lot of different ways. But what's perfect is if you can find an environment, a college, an internship, a co-op, a study abroad, a job, in all these different facets of life. If you can find that perfect match where you are going to be nurtured and challenged and grown, then you're going to go much further than you would if you didn't pursue those. And the only way to know is if you have questions to ask that empower you with the information you need to know to make the right decision. This also is extremely helpful in getting your parents involved, because then parents and both you and them have power in this relationship with whatever college or program or opportunity you're investigating to see if it's really going to be the fit that you think it is. Because sometimes they are, and sometimes they're not. So you need that evidence. It's very worthwhile to get that evidence. You'll get your best result. Now, some of these other categories on the sheet, I just want to kind of explain them to you. Strengths are, again, the areas that you want to focus on. So for me, when I would say strengths, I would be repeating some of the things like people-oriented, creative, design-oriented, because I like having to be able to design things. And for me, it's teaching, training, be able to put my own kind of stamp on it to make it my own. Again, I would write all kinds of examples, other than the first ones, trying to think of some new ones, and then any questions for evidence that I might want to ask. So let's say I found this amazing study abroad program, and I was really interested in designing programs for international students. I was going to be an international student, and I wanted to think someday I might want to do that for a job. I might want to work with international students. So I'd list my strengths, I list the examples I have so far, and then I list questions of evidence I'd want to ask to the international programs I was investigating. Things like, do you give your students a broad exposure of the international learning experience? What does that look like? Is it classroom only? Is it cultural? Do we go out in the culture? Do we meet people from that culture? Do we interact with people in that culture? Do we tour the areas in that country? How is that program going to meet those needs for me? How am I going to get a full experience to know whether or not I'd want to do that someday? And I'd want to be the one coordinating and taking those students abroad. How do I know that? You won't know unless you ask questions. Some programs may say they do things. Okay, the brochure says you're going to have this amazing experience. Wonderful. How can I know that? Can you give me students to talk to that are in the program? Can you give me students to talk to that have already done the program? Can you give me other information about the program that's going to tell me a day-to-day itinerary or the facets or the pillars of the program? So I'm hoping you can see how these things can just keep empowering you further and further and further as you go deeper. Because this assessment, more than any of the others, is really focused on career planning. Career planning. Not exploration. We've kind of done a lot of that. We're still going to explore, but now we're planning. We're planning our future. We're planning ideas of where we want to go. So it's critical that you focus it in that way. The last areas we have on here are challenges you may face. Maybe, well, one of my challenges, I'm not super detail oriented. So I'm going to have to make sure the programs and whatever I check out, I've got all the information, I've got all the schedules, I've got all the requirements, I've got all the criteria, and I've got that all lined up. Sometimes I gloss over that and I don't see it, and then I get in trouble. So for me, that is one of my challenges. And that is often a challenge of intuition. If you're high in intuition, you're a big picture thinker. You're a global thinker. You're not a detail person. So I got to make sure I don't miss those details. So maybe one of the things I would do is look for an opportunity or a development program that would work on my details, that would work on my organizational skills and the little bitty things falling in line that I need to make things work. Because when I'm excited about them, I can do them, but maybe I need a better way of approaching them or ideas on how to approach them better. That would be a great leadership opportunity for me to pursue, to develop more expertise in that. So that would be a question I would ask. Do you have the ability in your program for me to hone in on some of these areas that I want to develop more? And what would that look like? And what would that cost more? Would that be in my grade? So any questions you would have around that you'd want to ask. The areas of career essentials and cultural fit are simply drilling down to a 1 or 2 word title that captures what I need in a career. So for me, career essentials, you probably can already figure it out. I need people. I need motivated people that want to be helped, or ways of finding me to be able to motivate them. I don't tend to do as well with people when they have no interest. I need some motivation to be demonstrated. I need the idea of integrating creativity. I need some structure, but I like a lot of flexibility, but I do need structure, and I like structure. So I want to bring some structure in there. And a culture, when we kind of look at culture, I need a culture that is harmonious, that is collaborative, that is collegial. I don't like it when people are fighting and there's a lot of debating. I can do those things, but they drain energy from me. When you find these things in an environment where they're present and they're nurtured, it's going to give you energy. It's going to excite you, and you're going to leave excited at the end of the time or at the end of the day. So the leadership opportunity ideas and the proactive strategies here are simply ways of organizing questions and thoughts and things you want to seek out in those experiences. And then hopefully by now you've kind of got an idea of the questions for evidence by yourself, with your parents, with your counselor. You can write very, very detailed, targeted questions that will get you the information so that as you're making decisions about the next step in your future, whether it be college, a gap year experience, a study abroad, an internship co-op, whatever it is, you will make the most absolute best decision to develop your full potential. That's what all this is about, developing your full potential. I know that's a lot of information, and I'm sorry, but it will work for you beautifully. So just go with it, flow with it. It's not anything you have to do at one time. Go back to it periodically, look at it, review it, think about it again, and use this the rest of your life to help you on your path. Thank you so much for your attention, and I hope you find this helpful.
For the final part of this lesson, we're going to look at the Careers Centre. There's a section called Combined Results. This takes into account all of the assessment you've completed and gives you a selection of potential careers. Write down the careers clusters that come up and quickly reflect. Are these the types of careers that you might have been looking at already, or are these throwing you down some new avenues to look at? Pause the video and take a look at this before continuing. Now it's time to look at the careers that interest you in a bit more detail. Click on the career to see more information about it, and then use these tabs to go through your research. The overview will make sure that you have an understanding of what that career involves. Knowledge and skills are the types of things that you're going to need to be successful in this career. Do you already have these, or are you going to have to brush up in some of those areas? Tasks and activities are the types of things that you'll be doing every day in this career. Do you think you would enjoy these? And then the last section, compare to you. Do you have the right mind to be suited to this career? You can also rate each career from 0 to 3 stars based on how well it reflects your interests. Then on the previous page, you can use the filters to only show you careers with a 3-star rating. These are probably going to be the careers that you want to research in a little bit more detail. And this information can be absolutely